Hello, my name's Lasadia Gurley, and Jose Gurley was my uncle. I was assigned a project to make a documentary, and I decided that making one about him would be perfect because he means a lot to me, and I wanted to make it about his memory and his effect that he had on me and my family's lives. Hope you enjoy.
Some of my favorite things about him is that Jose was very funny. He would make me laugh. He was hilarious. Um, I loved how he was spontaneous and how he was driven and would like to try and learn new things if possible at all times.
I loved his honesty. I love, how he kept it with me, like who he was as a person. Like, I just love that about him. Like, again, some people wouldn't understand it, but it was something that a lot of people didn't have at that time and even now. But I love how honest he was with me and how he tried to always steer me in the right direction.
Definitely his smile, his sense of wonder. Like I said, if he found something he loved, his athleticism. He really was a great athlete. Brought a lot to the table without necessarily being the top student in the room.
I loved Jose's ability to just connect with anyone. I loved the way that people sort of gravitated to Jose, and I thought that was really cool.
I mean, obviously he was a great athlete, he was a great student, but I think probably the most important is he was just a good person, and I think that's more important than like the athletic ability and being smart. But he was a good leader. Everybody liked him. He's just a great all-around guy.
I don't know. He would say like smart little things, and like I don't know, it would just make you laugh. Like you couldn't be mad at Jose. Like he had these nice pearly white teeth and this nice smile. Like I don't know, you just couldn't be mad at him. You couldn't stay mad at Jose.
Always had my back no matter what. He wasn't he was I want to say arrogant, but he was tell you how it is. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, definitely.
He was just very loyal to me. Out of all my kids, Jose did not play with me at all.
We grew up together since I was about probably like 9 years old. He was like 2 years younger than me. And, we was together ever since we met each other. We just connected and we've been together every day after that ever since.
So I have a lot of memories of Jose. I think the one that keeps coming to mind, though, is the last time I saw him. It was the end of the school year. We were walking down the hallway. Literally, he was walking out to start summer, and he gave me the biggest smile and said, "Have a great summer, Mrs. Cronin." I was like, "Oh, you too, buddy." And I hang on to that.
Jose was like very serious, but he was a jokester sometimes too. So when you catch him being funny, it's like you tend to cherish little moments like that. But I would say one time my mom bought like a case of muffins, and I ate all of them. There was like 6 of them, and then my sister and my brother Jose tried to confront me about it. I was fibbing because I was embarrassed, but come to find out, they did find out it was me. So for like a whole 2 years, they were calling me Muffin. So that's something every time I eat a muffin, I will tend to think about that. So it's a funny memory I do cherish.
One of the memories I cherish in stories of Jose was when we went down to the RMV. I brought him to get his permit test, and he was so excited that he passed. As we were walking to the car, I handed him the keys and told him he was driving home, and he couldn't believe it. And he ended up driving the vehicle out of the parking lot, and he had the biggest smile on his face because he was so happy that he was finally driving.
Me and him would be up at night in the room just talking at night just about everything we want to do with our future. Him more than me. But, those are kind of some of the best ones.
So when we were little, like I said, there were so many of us. So whenever, something would happen at the house when we were kids, me and Jose always had this agreement that we told each other so much. Like, we had so many secrets with it, like, between the both of us, that if we ever got in trouble by our mom, we both agreed that we would never tell on each other. Like, say for instance, if I told him I took something from the store, or just any little thing, like, so you promise if we both get in trouble, you're not gonna tell on me? And we both agreed that we would never tell on each other. And one day, he got in trouble, and I think he was upset with me, so he kind of shared he told our mother one of our little secrets. It was bittersweet, but me and him talked about it, and he said that he was upset with me about something else, so he just felt that, I don't know, he needed to tell on me. So he did. But I forgave him, and, he was still cool after that.
She had run my whole life, so it was like, we did like kind of a lot, like everything together. I would say my best memories of him, we used to play like Xbox with each other and stuff like that. Cause I was a few years younger than him. You know what I mean? When I used to lose though, I used to be like, we'll play for favors. See, I was young, I didn't really know what that really was. So he would obviously beat me in the game every time, which I used to think I'd be able to beat him. And then we'll like say 10 favors. So I'll be making him the soups or do whatever favors he wanted me to do. Yeah, I would say that was probably the best memories.
Back in the day, we used to do this huge history project, National History Day. And he had to do it, and like I said, kind of academics weren't necessarily in the forefront of his mind. But he got a hold of Machiavelli and the idea of the ends justifies the means, and the whole thing of Machiavelli, like you got to defeat all of your enemies, and he loved it. He ran with it. He read Machiavelli's book. He did a whole poster board on it. So it kind of proved to me that he was definitely the kind of student that if he loved something, he was going to go all the way with it.
I mean, he ran for a number of years and I had him in class, but there's one moment that really sticks out for me. So we had this meet late in the season. We were going up against Martha's Vineyard, and they were kind of our rivals. Like, we really wanted to beat Martha's Vineyard. There's definitely animosity between our team and them. And so going through the meet, I was keeping really close track of the score. It was very tight because Vineyard was a really good school. And we were getting, I don't know, about 2/3 of the way through the meet. The score was neck and neck. And I decided to make this crazy change in the lineup that involved Jose. And I asked him to do something really unfair. And I said, Jose, I think we can win this meet, but to do it, I gotta put you in the 400 and the 200. And those two events are back to back. And that's like, it's usually a bad idea to do that because like you're toast from the 400. And so I said, Jose, I'm sorry I gotta do this, but like I think if we do this, we could score points and we could win. And Jose says, no problem, coach, I got this. And I'm like, all right, let's do this. And that year, we had two really good sprinters. Jose was the best in the 100 and the 200. And then there was another kid named Abe, who was our best 400 runner. So my plan was, I'm gonna stack the 400 with Abe and Jose. And I pulled those guys aside and I said, listen guys, I need you to get first and second in this event. And the Vineyard guy will get third, but you guys gotta beat him. Doesn't matter who gets first and who gets second, but as long as we beat them. And they said, okay, we got this, coach. So race goes off. Abe and Jose are running around the track. They're first and second. The Vineyard guys kind of behind them a little bit. They're coming around the curve. They're 200 meters in. They're still in first and second. Jose's winning. And that's weird because Abe was the best 400 runner. And they're coming around. They're at the 300 mark. Jose's clearly in the lead. And I'm like, holy crap, Jose's gonna beat Abe. Like, that's never happened before. The Vineyard guy's about 20 meters back of them. So they're coming around the 100-meter stretch. And I see Jose kind of glance over his shoulder, looking where the Vineyard guy is. And Abe's about 5 meters back. And Jose realizes, we got this, we can win this. So he looks and he looks at Abe and he goes, Abe, come on. And Jose deliberately slows down, lets Abe pass him. And then as soon as Abe passes him, he speeds up a little bit and Abe wins, Jose gets second, Vineyard guy gets third. And I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, that was so damn smart of him. Because he knew all we needed to do was get first and second. It didn't matter who won, Jose could have won. And a lot of people in that situation would have had trouble like not winning because everybody wants to win. But he was smart enough to realize, I need to save a little bit, I gotta do the next race. And I think Abe was younger. So it was kind of like a leadership thing too. He was like, I'm gonna let the younger kid win, even though I could have beat him, because that's what's best for the team. And I was like so impressed watching that, because we got the points. It was such like a classy move on his part. And I even had people after the meet come up to me and be like, you know, Coach, who's that kid that let the other kid beat him in the 400? And I'm like, that was Jose. And just everyone was so impressed. Like my wife still mentions that to this day. Every time I bring up Jose, she's like, that's the meet where, you know, he let Abe win. I'm like, so that's my favorite memory of Jose. And we won the meet.
He took Roddy's scooter without Roddy knowing, with his friends, and I guess he was riding around on it. It was a big scooter. And I was upstairs cooking, and Tiara was in her room, and Jose came running upstairs, and he had his arm up. It was just blood dripping. He fell and he had a burn. So he was like, come on, take me to the doctors, call the ambulance. I'm like, okay. So me and Tara, because I'm so nervous, me and Tara just sat there screaming, jumping up and down, hugging each other. Jose went to the hospital by himself. My landlord downstairs took him. So me and Tara would just sit up there jumping up and down, screaming, crying, looking at him, blood dripping everywhere. Yeah, I can't take stuff like that. Yeah, that was a good one, though.
I remember this day like it was yesterday. So one of me and my best friends, Nicole, we were out. It's so crazy because where he passed away at, me and Nicole were just in that area probably like maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours before he passed away. We were in that area to go meet another friend. So anyways, we left that area and we went back to my brother's house, which I lived with my older brother at the time. And it was late. It was like 2. I think he passed away. He passed away at like 2 something, maybe almost 3 o'clock in the morning. So me and Nicole left that area and we went back to my older brother's house where she was going to drop me off at. And we were outside talking, where we met my niece's mom, Brandy. She was outside. She had just arrived to her home as well. So we were all outside talking, laughing, just reminiscing. And then all of a sudden the phone rang in the house, in my brother's house, the phone rang. And I ran in the house and got the phone. And when I looked on the call ID, it was my grandparents' phone number. And like I said, it was late. So when I seen the number, it was kind of, it was kind of odd. Like, oh my goodness, maybe did something bad happen, because it was late. And, you know, it was odd that they was calling the house so late. So I answered the phone and it was my grandmother. And my grandmother was like, oh my goodness, Tiara, I'm so sorry. Do you know what just happened? And I was like, what do you mean? What's going on? What just happened? And she said that your brother, she didn't say, I have 3 brothers. So she didn't say which brother. She just said your brother got shot. So I didn't know which brother she was talking about. Like, all I remember is just dropping the phone, running down the street, screaming, crying at 2 something, 3 something in the morning. My niece's mom, Brandy, she came, you know, running after me like, what's Tiara? What's the matter? What happened? What happened? And I just said, my brother was shot, not knowing still which brother. And then come to find out, it was Jose. And me, Brandy, and my friend Nicole, we all got in the car and we proceeded to drive to the hospital. And when we got to the hospital, my mom was there. My older brother was there. Sorry. My little brother was there. Just all my family was there. And he was med flooded from Brockton to Boston. But when we got the call, we drove to Boston, not to Brockton. So when we got to the hospital, me and Brandy and my friends, we was met by my mom and by the rest of my family. And when we got there, I don't know, it was too late. When we got there, the doctor came right out, and the doctor just said, "I'm sorry for your loss." And she told us that Jose didn't make it, that he passed away that day. And I don't know, they wheeled him out, and we all got to basically go in the room and see Jose. And he just looked like he was sleeping. He just looked like, he was just he just looked like he was sleeping. And yeah, so that's how I found out.
His friends came to my house. The hospital called at first. They left me a message because I was sleeping. It was early in the morning. And his friends came. They told me that Jose had got shot. So I was like, okay. I checked my message. It was the hospital. The hospital didn't tell me. They said they wanted me to come to the hospital, Good Samaritan. And so basically I went to the hospital with their friends in Good Samaritan in Brockton. Then they flew him to Boston. And that's where he passed away.
I was in my car, my husband was driving, and I had my kids with me. And one of my students, or former students, who was also a babysitter, called me. And I just remember, she had to say it 3 times for it to sink in.
At my best friend's house was still remain best friends, but I was at my best friend's house, and then my little brother, she lived about 2 streets away from me. So my little brother, he was probably about 12 at the time. He ran through the park and ran to my best friend's house and told me that our brother had gotten shot. I didn't know what brother he was talking about because there's 3 in total. I didn't know if it was your dad, my older brother, Jose. I didn't know what was going on. So I got to my house and come to find out it was Jose that had gotten shot. We drove he got sent to the hospital, Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton. And we thought everything was going to be fine, everything was all right. But come to find out, they ended up taking him in the helicopter, bringing him to Boston, Brigham's and Women's, and we kind of knew the situation was more serious than we thought. And then the nurse came out and she had a look on her face, so we all kind of knew that, he passed away.
I was at home. It was actually a few of us at the house. His grandmother had called and said that Jose had been shot. We weren't aware of exactly his condition at the time, so we actually all dropped everything, rushed to the hospital, and that's how we found out, through his grandmother.
I want to say I was about 13 years old. I was actually at the house on Walnut. I was laying down. We got a knock on the door. It was 3 of his friends that came in with his blood on him. They said that he was shot, but they said he was alive. I ran next door to go get Kia. She was sleeping at her friend's house, and yeah.
I was pregnant when Jose unfortunately passed away, and I had just given birth. I had just gotten home from the hospital, so it was probably 2 days after my son was born. And a teacher here, who's now retired, Mary Graziano, called me. So I thought she was calling to say congratulations on the birth of your son. And she was like, I don't know how to tell you this, and it couldn't have shocked me more. So now I think of him every year, and I kind of track how long it's been. My son's 15 now, so it's coming up on that anniversary.
I was driving on the turnpike, the Mass Turnpike, because I was going to, I used to paint houses as my second job. And I remember I was driving to Western Mass to paint a house. And I got a phone call while I was driving. It was the superintendent of the schools who called us and told us that Jose had passed. And it was so, I don't even know how to describe it. Traumatic, impactful. I didn't know, I think that was the first time I had ever had one of my students die. And the fact that he was so close to me, it was tough to deal with, and I was driving at the time, and I didn't really know what to do. So that's when that happened, and I remember like I finished driving and went and I started painting the house, and then it was like a multi-day job, and I told the people I was painting for, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna have to take like a day off to go to the services. So I did that, like I painted for a day or two, I forget, and then I drove back to, I think it was in Brockton, where his services. But I remember the moment I was on the Mass Pike and I got the phone call.
The biggest impact was just the reminder, first of all, to enjoy life, because he always had a big smile on his face, and walking through the halls, it seemed like he was friends with everybody, and also just not to take anything for granted, because life is short.
He impacted my life in many different ways. Not saying before he passed away I made the worst decisions. I was just a teen, making mistakes, doing things, but now that he's gone and I've gotten older, I tend to make better decisions, and I always think of like, what advice would Jose give me if he was here? Like, what decisions, what would he do if he was here? So I tend to still, think of his opinion about how I move and how I do certain things. So he definitely impacted me on that level.
Jose's impacted my life because he was so inspirational, talented, and always focused. So he impacted my life to be the same way.
No, it was a part of me. He was a part of me. His life was mine and mine was his. So, he impacted my life in a major way. There's always a piece of me. He's a part of me.
And Jose impacted my life in so many ways. Jose was the first kid in our family to graduate, to actually get a high school diploma. And I'm older than Jose, like I said in the beginning. He's the middle child, so Jose had his license before me. It just takes me forever to do everything. I'm just a big procrastinator, I guess, but Jose had his license before me, and me and Jose would go places, and we would do things with my niece, with my older brother's daughter. And I don't know, he just impacted me. He just inspired me in so many ways. Like, he would talk to me when we were together, and like, Tiara, how come you don't have your license? How come you don't hurry up and go get your license? Look, it was so easy. Look what I did. Look what I had to do. And everything was a piece of cake to him. Like, he made it seem like everything was so easy. I always looked at Jose like he was just so, like, I don't know. He just played football. He just did everything. He inspired me in so many ways. Like, I can sit here and go on and on and on and on for hours. But the main thing, he inspired me the most to just be who I am. And to just get out there and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of nothing. To live your dreams and do what you believe in. And he was just a smart kid. He was just a good kid. He was a smart kid. And he inspired me in a lot of ways. Even being as young as he was. He passed away at 17. And he inspired me, and so I don't know. Like I said, I can go on and on and on. But yeah.
I would say that having Jose have been in my life, it makes you stop and think, and it made me, honestly, as a teacher, want to reach out to that student a little bit more. The ones who walk in the door that are all prepared and they have their homework done, like, not that they don't need you, but they don't need you as much. So it really led me down a path of wanting to work with the kids who have to go to a traditional day school like our school, but it's not made for them. they really struggle to do the, you know, the 6-hour days and going to see this teacher and that teacher and not really having flexibility. So kind of, you know, made me really want to work with a student like him to make their life here a little bit more comfortable.
He told me that life is short. Love your children, your family, your grandkids, everybody, you know, love them and keep them close because it can be gone like that.
I hope you enjoyed that documentary. Thank you for watching. It really meant a lot to me, and it took a long time to make and edit and all the things like that. This really means a lot to me because, you know, he was a big part of my life, and he's especially a big part of my family's lives, and he had a huge impact on all of us. I wanted to make sure that this documentary, you know, captured every single type of person that he was, between his amazingness, his kindness, his talent, and so much more. And I think I did a pretty good job. I hope that you guys realize the person that he is, and yeah, thank you for watching.
Okay, Jose Gurley to me was my daughter's uncle, and he became part of my family, like a brother to me, a little brother.
So hello, my name's Tiara Gurley, and Jose was my little brother.
Jose Gurley was my older brother by a year and 5 months. Out of all my mom's kids, me and him were the closest in age. So, yeah, he was like my best friend.
My name is Siobhan Gurley. Jose was my older brother.
My name's Robert Jacobs, and Jose was my best friend.
My name is Mrs. Cronin, and Jose was my student.
My name is Mr. Pike, and I was Jose's coach and teacher.
Hi, my name is Shelley Gurley, and Jose Gurley is my son.
My name is Mrs. Wilder, and Jose was my 9th grade world history student.